Hello, my name is Carla Day Johnson, and I'm with the Hedberg Public Library Art Committee. I'm here today talking with Dorothy Case of Clinton, Wisconsin, whose watercolor paintings will be on display for the month of April at the library. Hello, Dorothy. How are you today?
Hi, Carla. I'm just fine today. Thank you.
Good. I want to know how you started painting.
Well, I was more advanced in age when I started. As a child, I had no art education at all, unless you count Let's Draw over the radio on WHA when I was in elementary school.
You won't be the first person to have mentioned that.
Yeah, Jerry Apps recently talked about that. And in our high school, secondary education, there was no art class. This is before they did all these neat things. So, actually, in terms of any art instruction in my early years, I didn't have any. But when I was about 55 years old, in 1986, I was working up at the American Baptist Assembly in Green Lake, Wisconsin, as a volunteer. And there was an watercolor painting class that was being held an hour a day. I was given permission to go if it didn't interfere with my work.
Okay.
And I was amazed. Now, my paintings were not anything that would be collectible or anything, but for the first time, I painted things and I began to see things more clearly. And that really kind of opened my eyes to the world around me and to the beauty. I said when I drove home the weekend after that class, I saw little gardens, wildflowers growing beside the road in the gravel, and I saw that there were lots of colors of green, not just one or two. It just really made me aware, and I loved doing it. I didn't really follow up too much until when I retired, which would have been 8 years later, something like that. I was 63, and I began then to really paint with some consistency.
Now, you worked as as a school instructor in Clinton.
Yeah.
It amazes me that you got to age 55 with your artistic ability that I see in your work, and weren't caught by the artistic bug before that. But what did you teach when you were in school?
I taught social studies in the middle school.
Okay.
And art there was making things and helping kids. I would lie on the floor and draw with them and color with them and paint with them, and I painted at least as well as most of the sixth graders. But trying things. But no, in terms of instruction, there wasn't any really.
All right, and I see that you do mostly watercolor. Is that the medium that you use?
I do only
watercolor.
I love it. I've said in my bio, I stated that it's kind of like the paint takes charge. And maybe that's good for a teacher to know that you're not always in charge. I just love the way the color flows, and a lot of times I'm not in control of it, and sometimes that's very frustrating. I want it to do something, and it says, no, I'm going to flow here or go there.
That's part of the fascination with it, isn't it?
Yeah, and so more recently I've done a couple of pieces, which will be in my exhibit of experimenting with that kind of thing. I have one painting called Sanctuary 1, which is going to appear in this interview, I believe. and it just amazes me of what the colors do. I don't have any real desire to explore all the other areas of painting, oils and pastels and all of these things.
There's
I like
enough right
watercolor.
there. And what have you done for education towards your painting goals so far?
Towards my what?
Education towards, where did you go to school? Did you take any classes?
Oh, yeah, as far as my teaching career?
No, as far as your painting.
Art, okay. Well, I was pretty self-taught out of books from the Clinton Library
A good place.
to begin, and just copied things and copied things and copied things. And of course, I wasn't very successful at first, but I have kept my first painting on my wall all the time because it turned out better than I thought. I thought, well, that's not too bad for somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, you know. And through the years then, well, I had one instructor who really helped me a lot, and her name was Carla Day Johnson. And
we do have a background together,
yes,
that's true.
we do. Yes, we do. And you really did give me help in terms of how to do things and how to manage some painting. I've also attended maybe 3 times the School of the Arts at Rhinelander.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I have gone to Green Lake a couple times for, I think it's a university extension
Yes.
that does that one. And more recently, I have learned a lot from Barbara Matthews here in Janesville. She's fabulous.
But most of the
so
work
I've
that
had-
you've done has been self-inspired and...
Yeah, pretty much. And recently I have, because of some circumstances, I haven't painted a whole lot, so I'm getting back into it now,
Okay.
which is really neat. I like it. And
It is fun.
it's kind of like learning over again, though, you know, starting over to learn how the paint behaves. And
Yeah, it's even
all
if
the
you're gone
different
for a couple of
methods.
weeks, you come back
Uh-huh.
and just start again and start
Yeah.
slow, and it
That's
comes
right.
back to you, but I think it takes a while.
It's beginning, yeah, it's getting there.
Now, a lot of your paintings are inspired by your travel. Talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, I love to travel. When as a social studies teacher, 6th grade, we studied the Middle East primarily, but we also had geography units that took us all over the world and to each continent and so on. And so I loved it. I loved teaching social studies and all the culture areas. And when we did ancient Greece, we studied the Greek architecture and so on. And when we did the Renaissance, we studied the Renaissance painters and so on. And
Then
and
after
when
you
I
retired, you were
when I
able to do it.
retired, yeah. I went to some of those places. Oh my, it's wonderful. One of the, excuse me, one of the paintings that will be, in fact, 2 of them, that will be in the exhibit. Well, a lot of the paintings in the exhibit are from travels, but one of them is of Machu Picchu, which is an Inca ruins in Peru, in South America. And my son and I traveled there,
Oh, interesting.
and it's just fascinating. The ruins that were found, I think, in, oh, here's the social studies teacher, 1911, and the man's name was Hiram Bingham, who discovered this marvelous area where the Incas had apparently just kind of retreated. And we were there.
Now, if you're doing your artwork based on your travel, you're working off of photos that you
Yeah,
took while you were
pretty
there.
much.
Do you
Pretty
find any particular challenges with that?
Sure, getting distant pictures, trying to put, you get pieces and to put them together to make a whole. That's the hardest thing, yeah.
Working
But,
off of a flat
yeah,
surface.
Yeah, and I'm not the best photographer in the world, I'll tell you that right now. But anyway, yeah, mostly from photos, and just a memory figures into it, though I need something to refer to it, so yeah, I use photos mostly.
I think if you're specifically doing areas where you've traveled, you do
Yeah.
want the photos as reference.
Yeah, and there are places where you get up on a hill. We were in Tuscany, and we were headed for a villa where we were going to have lunch and an afternoon of relaxation, and you could see the whole villa from up on the hill as we approached. And I tried to paint it.
Yeah.
And that also was in the exhibit. It was lovely.
Interesting.
And it turned out pretty good.
That's
I like
always
it.
a plus.
I like it, yeah.
Well, we have some of your work here. Why don't we talk
Okay.
about that?
All right,
All right.
yeah. I chose this because it really illustrates, this is the one called Sanctuary 1. And the name for it just is there. What safety, what what's in there. This is one of those, what does the color do?
Mm-hmm.
And some of it is somewhat directed, tilting the paper and having it just the right wetness, or having the paint and yet not letting the paint get so wet that it just runs all over, trying to control a little bit. But things happened in this painting that just, it's this big surprise. My gosh, look at this. And this is my painting. It will be in the exhibit, but this is my painting. I just get a feeling of surprise and joy, kind of, and it makes me think a little bit, and just the beauty of the colors and how they behave and so on. I didn't do much controlling in this painting.
I think some of the best watercolors are the less
what
controlled.
it would do, and I love what it did.
It is
I
very
especially
striking.
like how, if you can see this, and how it kind of blended and made other colors over in there, and yet the brightness stays there. Yeah.
When you use color in your paintings, do you basically just go with a gut feeling, or do you use the color wheel and sort of plan?
Probably it's more gut feeling than planning.
I think that's more fun.
I'm still so much in the learning process that I don't always know what's going to happen, and I have much to learn in terms of using color.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Now let's see what else we have here. Oh,
Okay.
floral. Okay.
Yeah. This was kind of the result of a class exercise that we were, well, I won't call it an exercise, but a painting out of a class that we were to pick some flowers of some kind, and then include the dewdrops, which I was experimenting with, and I think they came out pretty good. But this flower is just, this is called the extrovert, because this flower said to me, I'm not like every other flower. All those other flowers are just kind of quiet and neat, and the petals go where they're supposed to, and this one says, hey, look at me.
Very
so,
interesting.
yeah, and I had fun painting this, because getting differences in the basic color, the lights and the darks and so on, was a challenge for me. And doing a background that was okay, interesting, but not overpowering anything that it was supposed to be there. I just think I'm pleased with this painting. It came out nicely, the extrovert.
Colors are
And every
beautiful.
time I look at it, I kind of smile.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I might be a little bit like that flower. Hey, look at me.
Now this format is very similar to what you have on your T-shirt. I have to
Oh,
point
yeah.
that out. Tell us about the picture
yeah.
on your T-shirt and how it got there.
I am so pleased with what happened with this. At one point I decided, you may have been the one who said to me, why don't you try something that's really close instead of always painting things that are in the distance. I did a cactus garden painting once, and whoever it was said to me, you know, if you brought that cactus right up to the front of your painting, it would be really interesting. So I decided I would try that with a flower. And as I painted, I said, I'm Georgia O'Keeffe, because I think she did
That is
this
her style,
this kind of thing.
Yes.
And so I painted this, and it's called Pebbles. It also, by the way, will be in my exhibit, but it doesn't belong to me anymore, because I sold it to a friend who said, she's in the garden club, and she said, you know, Dorothy, could we use your painting as a
Logo. so to speak?
logo for our garden club, at least on this sweatshirt? And I said, well, sure, I don't know why not. And so a lot of us have this Pebbles painting, and they were nice enough to include my name as the artist.
Very nice.
And it's just a nice painting. It turned out well. It took a lot of control on my part
To not go in.
overdo. Yeah, to just leave it alone in places. Don't keep at it or to walk away from it for a while.
People talk about not having much control when they use watercolors. The control is yourself.
To leave it alone.
That's right, exactly.
Let it
right.
dry, leave it alone for a while.
Okay, we also have here, I assume this is from some of your travels.
Yeah, that's the Machu Picchu. We were up on one of these terraces, and I was just fascinated. I'm going to point them out. These little houses that were built along the terrace. Now this, I'm not real good on the history of this place, but it's pretty much the way they found it. And I took this photo through a building window that looked out on this terrace. And I just thought, oh, this is exactly what I want. Now I have another painting in the exhibit that's larger than this of it's a wider view, and it has more of the terraces and so on. And it's a close-up more of one of those buildings. But this just fascinated me. And the way I saw it through that window was really kind of neat. Machu Picchu, as I said, is an ancient ruin. Why the Incas made it, we don't really know, if they were escaping something or if they were, trying to hide out, and how it stayed hidden for so long. It wasn't found until 1911. And, we didn't have, I don't know, when were the first airplanes? I don't know that. But flying over and finding
no one
things
saw it from the air.
But no one saw it from the air. And how he stumbled on it, I don't know. The thing that amazed me is all those rocks and stones for all those terraces, and this is just a small part of it, were brought there by hand, or maybe mules or llamas or whatever their beasts of burden were, but it's just an amazing place. And you can climb up to what they call the Gate of the Sun, I think it's called, and you can get way up high and just see this whole layout.
Now tell me, while you were there looking, were you thinking in the back of your mind, man, I got to go home and paint this?
This one I was.
Yeah.
This one, yeah. The windows, I said, oh, that's a painting. That's a painting, yeah. The others, I have to wait and see what it turns out.
What you get on your
like.
film?
Yeah.
But did you do any painting while you were there?
No, I found the sort of plein air, is that the right term? I'm not good at that. Paint dries too fast for me. I'm not a
That is the
enough,
hazard of plein air.
Yeah,
with watercolor,
I'm not
yes.
a quick enough person, and I can make a real mess when I try that. I've tried it. It's one of the things we did at Green Lake in one of those, and I tried to paint an archway in the garden at Green Lake, and
Not as
some
successful.
things turn out. I have kind of a portfolio of paintings I won't show anyone. But
I think everybody understands
you
this.
learn from them.
You do.
I do. I
You
learn
do.
from them. Yeah.
Well, tell me, do you have any other future travel plans, or what are your plans for your painting now?
Not exactly. I'm hoping to get back to Sweden sometime. I have friends who live there. They're almost like relatives, 50 years or more in generations. And one of my paintings in the exhibit that I just love is from a picture a photo as we went down a channel from their island home.
Okay.
And all the houses and the little fishing shacks and boat houses and that sort of thing. It's a beautiful place, and the people are wonderful, and I'd like to get back there.
Oh, yeah.
There are other places. I've traveled a lot.
I know you traveled to China because some of
Yeah.
your paintings are of the Chinese.
Yeah, I have a couple from, those are I must like terraces.
I was going to say, is
I've
the
got a Green
landscape?
Lake terrace and a terrace walk that was in China, and this terrace, yeah.
For subject matter, is landscape what attracts you the most, would you say?
I think so. I have tried a couple times to put people in, and I can do it if I don't have to show detail. Again, I have one painting of, there was a woman leaning over her balcony in Portugal, Lisbon,
Okay.
in Lisbon. And I've painted her in She would probably not like her face, but she looks like she's just kind of sitting there or leaning there daydreaming, and I thought that is a neat picture.
But
And I
landscape is
attempted that and some other things, some other techniques with that painting, and I like it. It came out fine. But the woman who was leaning there, she would probably say, I don't know. No, you don't want that. Yeah.
Well, I understand you have something that you've written that you'd like to read for us
Well, I
today.
would, yeah. I like to write on occasion, and I've done some. In Clinton, we did a series of historical, musical things about Clinton's history, and I wrote the plays and kind of helped with the whole production. We've done a number of those. And every once in a while, I feel poetic.
Okay.
And I do have something that I came across here as I was preparing for this that I'd written some time ago. I have a belief that God gives us what talents we have if we have them. And sometimes He gives us something that maybe we wish, or He doesn't give us something that maybe we wish we had. Anyway. And so I wrote this one time. I don't even remember when I did this, but I found it.
Okay.
With one bold stroke, God paints the sky. The colors glow, then slowly die, and daylight fades away to night, while sparkling stars bring forth new light. I load my brush with colors bright, but fail to capture God's grand sight. I paint a sky with midnight blue, but I can't make the stars shine through. Oh, great Creator God, You've made a world of beauty here displayed, and through my painting, I can see another way to worship Thee.
Very nice.
And I praise God for giving me this particular gift and
It
the
sounds like your
opportunities
artwork enters
to
every
learn
facet.
and to observe His world. My gosh, it's beautiful.
Well, it has been a pleasure talking with you
Thank you.
today. I look forward to seeing your exhibit in April.
Yes.
Please join us at the Hedberg Public Library for the month of April, where Dorothy Case will be exhibiting her watercolor paintings. Thank you.